Hey, John.
Hey, Eric. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing all right. Coming to you from the Lone Star
The
State.
Lone Star State, down in
That's right.
good old Dallas, Texas.
Yes, I
Well,
am.
kind of Dallas.
Yeah, outside. But yeah, kind of like I tell people I'm from Portland when that's not actually where I live.
Right. I go
But
into
it's
Portland
close
like
enough.
once every couple months. Uh, but yeah, that's the nearest big town.
Yep.
Well, I'm glad you
So
took
anything
your microphone and everything else down with you. So you're
Yeah.
you're doing this super late at night.
Yeah, well, can't miss podcast night. And the laptop never updated for time zone, so it still says Pacific time. So
Oh,
it doesn't feel that late yet.
Oh, that's yeah. Mentally, it's still 9 p.m. for you, but when you have to get
Yeah.
up tomorrow at logical 5 year time, yeah,
Yeah. That's
time
all right.
zones. It's fun.
Anything exciting happened this week?
Oh, let's see, man. I've been just work and home slash farm work constant for the last I don't know how many days. It's definitely spring. Got so much to do. It's I need some sleep is what I do. I need some sleep. I did have to not have to, but I'm gonna need to use my flatbed trailer here in a little bit to hopefully get a. I'm gonna get another toy here at some point. By toy, I mean like a flail mower, and
I have no idea what a flail mower is.
uh, okay. Well, you know. Let's see. Let me see if I can describe this. You're used to mowers that have big blades that work like a fan, right? That
Yeah,
kind of swing around like that. So it's not that. There's a picture a drum, and then around the drum are like randomly placed little hammers that kind of swing, and then the drum spins really fast, and the hammers swing down and like chop out. And the hammers are only they're not
like a
hammers,
rotor
but
tiller.
yeah, except that I mean the drum's solid with these little swinging things with dangly bits that swing around and chop the grass kind of randomly. So it does a really nice job of mowing actually because the whole thing is normally held with wheels or with skids or something like that at a particular height above the ground, and it it's does much better job of mowing than the big rotary things. So anyway, it'll be
Wow.
fun. Anyway, I didn't mean to actually go into what a flail mower was, but
I had no idea what it was, so I'm glad I now know something new today.
yeah, I'll have to look up a picture and we can actually have a link in our intro.
There
Uh,
you go.
the but anyway, the whole point is that every time I've had to use my trailer for the last year, my one of the tires has been flat, and so
Ah,
I jacked it up, took the tire off, took it down to Les Schwab, and they said, "Hey, yeah, we can't fix it because it's bulging out the sidewall or something like that." And I'm like, so anyway, I finally got that fixed yesterday. When I sent you the picture of the NPS, the
ah.
the green, yellow, red for the survey results in
Oh,
in
that's
in
right.
in the tire shop, that was what I was doing, was picking the tire up.
Right.
So hopefully this weekend I will get out and get another thing that just means that I have more stuff that I can do around here is what that means. But that's okay.
Well, there you go.
I mean, what would you do if you didn't have work to do? Work here, work there. It'd be boring.
Yeah.
It'd be boring.
No. And I
How about you?
I am completely on the unboring side because I am teaching my 15-year-old daughter how to drive. So
Ah,
that keeps me on my toes.
oh yes. And she's
She's
probably
she's doing great.
ready to hop in the car anytime for any errand for any little tiny thing.
Exactly. It's as soon as I walk in the door from work, it's Dad, can we go driving? I want to go driving.
Don't we need a pizza?
Yeah.
Don't we need some toothpaste?
Let's make up things to do so I can go driving.
I think we need to go to Costco.
She's doing great.
Oh, that's good. All right, what you got for me this week from a security story standpoint?
So the thing that caught my eye this week, well, a couple things, and we'll call it the router theme. Apple announced that they are discontinuing their airport routers.
I did see that.
So, which is actually fine. I don't think they need those really. As we've talked before on the podcast, Eros, or if you're a little bit more geeky, the Ubiquiti stuff works much better anyways.
Well, sure, but it's better than the old stuff. I mean, Apple hasn't updated their airport line for I don't even know how long.
2013, I think.
The 5 years.
Yeah.
I was going to jokingly say 10 years, and I'm like, I'm sure it's not 10. It just probably seems like that. But I mean, at the same time, now's the perfect opportunity for a device in the home that, could act as a speaker / mesh router / smart assistant. I have a hard time seeing how the little, the pucks like the Amazon Echo or Google Home don't converge with Wi-Fi access points for mesh networking or something like that. I mean, I know that we've got one.
I hadn't thought of that before, but yeah.
You don't think?
That's an interesting idea.
I think you have to have. I mean, maybe you'd want more assistance than, or at least access points than others. But I mean, I've got one down in my office here, got one up in the kitchen, one in each of the boys' rooms. So, got 4 in the house, and approximately the same number of mesh networking, access points.
Huh. I hadn't thought of that. Well, so I guess going with that, I stumbled across the headline is millions of home fiber routers vulnerable to complete takeover. And another headline was over 1 million vulnerable fiber routers can be easily hacked. And we can link with probably both the stories because they have a slightly different take of it on each one. But it appears that there was a router vendor who had, sent their routers off with a bug in it that lets anyone bypass the login page. And if you've enabled remote access to your routers, you don't have to log in. You get full access to the router, and then you can do pretty much as root whatever you want to the router.
You can essentially SSH to the router.
Yes, I believe so. Once you get in, you're in as root.
Oh.
So it's apparently still, and these routers are mostly found in, according to the article, Mexico, Kazakhstan, and Vietnam. And the thing I found most frustrating, and I know it'll hit your button too, was how is it that people in Mexico, Vietnam, and Kazakhstan have gigabit routers to the house and I don't here in the U.S.?
The U.S. internet access. What are we, like 99th in the world for overall network speed? I don't know. I mean,
we're horrible.
Yeah, it is. It's a good thing. It's a good thing our broadband has such high levels of competition everywhere, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm hopefully the sarcasm's dripping through your headphones there. Yeah, I know that. I'm trying to figure out, like, what would I pay for gigabit to the house? You know, I have a 10 megabit line, right? Or it's not even a line, but I have 10 megabit service, and I pay out the ear for that. Or out the nose, whatever the euphemism is.
Yeah.
And I would pay more for better, but I can't.
Yeah. I feel happy just to have 100 megabit.
Yeah.
And it does pretty well. And that's about the max you can get around here. Which
it's pretty bad.
Well,
I have had friends in Arizona and California tauntingly text me their speed test results because it's not a isolated complaint from me about my internet access.
I resemble that comment as well.
Yes, you as in you have texted me your speed. Yes,
Yes.
you have. Yes, yes. I can take it. It's okay. There are trade-offs.
Yes.
As I buffer my Netflix. So I guess this is not unexpected in terms of vulnerabilities are found, frequently. I guess the one of the questions for me that wasn't really answered by these is are there updates available, and how often do they run that? What's the response after a vulnerability disclosure and a CVE like this?
Right. And I guess they don't know yet. They're waiting for the feedback from the vendor. But one of the other things about this is you know what Shodan is. So the website basically scans the internet for open ports, open services, whatever, and it's basically a Google search for open services. And so if you go into Shodan and search for this gateway, it pops up over 1 million results, just like the article says it would. And this is how they verified it. And you get down to the countries. Mexico, almost 500,000, Kazakhstan, 385,000, Vietnam, 143,000. And then it drops off pretty big, but it's still numbers. They're still all over the world. These routers are publicly available and open on the internet.
Man.
So, yeah. And once you get into the router side of things, it's not like you're hitting a PC and then trying to move laterally or anything. It's you own the home at that point. You own all the traffic that goes in between, the home. So if you've got 5 or 6 devices, you've got your Echoes, you've got these number of devices.
Right. And every single one of those, not to bring DNS too far back in, but every single one of those is probably doing DHCP off of that and using the you could set the local router to be your DNS server and alter the DNS request to route traffic any way you'd like off of that. Even presuming that you couldn't get into a PC, if somebody was militant about using inside their home network, militant about still using HTTPS, and you couldn't sniff the traffic. There's still
but you
things
could,
you could
as
do.
The router, you could create yourself as a man in the middle.
Exactly.
So even with the encrypted traffic, there is potential to have somebody jump in the middle. So once again, it's just it's a utility that most people don't in their homes think about at all. They get it probably from their ISP or whoever they're getting their internet access through, and they plug it in and they let it go. So really, it's another reason to, not just go with what somebody sells you. Do some research, find good ones. That's why I like the Eero system as well. And that's why I used to use all the airport stuff from Apple until a few years ago when it was clear they were no longer interested in it. You knew you would get updates. You knew you would get someone was paying attention to it. It wasn't kind of the cheapest thing you could find at your Best Buy or Fry's or whatever your local electronics store is. Dixon's if you're in the UK or in Europe somewhere. So anyways, I linked to a couple of those articles. Just read about how simple the attack was. The bug, I guess I shouldn't call it an attack. It was a bug. It's just change how the URL works on the login page, and you're in. A few extra characters, and you're there. So.
Wow, that is brutal. The thing I had for you tonight is actually not from this past week. It's from a couple of weeks ago, but it was a post from the Electronic Frontier Foundation, the EFF, that was about a ruling in a district court in DC that said that using automated tools to access publicly available information on the open web is not a computer crime. So there's a very, very old statute, the CFAA, the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, passed in 1986. And I guess technically the internet did exist prior to 1986. However, I was unaware of the internet before 1986, for sure. I think when did that's a question for you. When did you first become aware of the internet? As
1991 or maybe 92. It was college. When I was in college and got to the university and started learning all about these cool network things that we could start doing. And
Archie and Veronica and Gopher.
Yes. And Kermit.
Yeah, I did. Wait, no, I don't know that I used Kermit. Was that a
file transfer?
Oh, okay.
Tool. Yeah. But yeah,
I did use NCSA Mosaic on a Mac at the time.
Well done. Yeah.
The computer I went, or the college I went to had a Mac lab for general purpose use, and then we had a Solaris Spark station up in the computer lab that had, I don't know, 10 different terminals on it or something like that. And then some PCs and stuff like that. But I was probably 92, maybe 93, honestly. My junior year would have been 93, and I would want to say it was maybe junior year. But in that time range. Anyway, go back to 1986 here. And the intent here was that, the website has a terms of service that says you can't scrape the information off of the website, but some researchers had used some automation to go pull data files, something like that, off of the website, and so the judge ruled. Although this is funny, I got to actually read this at least small paragraph that's in the article here. Scraping is merely a technological advance that makes information collection easier. It's not meaningfully different from using a tape recorder.
Well, what I didn't understand...
Do we need to use the tape recorder? Is that because we need an analogy that is relevant to 1986? Were there exceptions? I haven't read the act, so was there an exception for tape recorders or something? I don't. Anyway, it seemed like a bizarre, pulling out. If I showed my kids what a tape was, which that I have some in the house here, although I
still have some too. I even have a tape deck because one of these days I'm going to convert them. Because I'm pretty sure there's something on those tapes that I want somewhere.
Okay.
All right. So maybe. the thing that I couldn't figure out about this article is, isn't this just called Google? Isn't that what web crawlers do? What's the difference between a web scraper and a web crawler? You know what I mean? When I'm looking at this, I'm like, that was how Yahoo started, right?
Legal requirement to honor robots.txt?
I don't know.
I don't think there's any sort of FBI enforcement of
robots.txt. Yeah. So this was an interesting one to me, just from the really.
I suspect
we need to have a ruling like this.
Yeah, but I think this is more about overly broad terms of use than it is necessarily the scraping per se. So it's nice that the statement that he had, or I guess this was a ruling from last year where there was a different judge that had said that a broad interpretation of the CFAA, if adopted, could profoundly impact open access to the internet. A result that Congress could not have intended when it enacted the CFAA over 3 decades ago. Presumably they could not have intended it because nobody knew what it was at the time, right, other than some researchers in universities and government laboratories. So I don't know. This made me happy because it's seems to me a sensible ruling, and I'm when it seems like there have been a number of kind of nonsensical things that come across, right, especially when it comes to sort of the understanding of technology. So it's lovely when occasionally something that actually makes sense happens.
Well, this one is a great lead into my something fun.
Okay, is it week. Now?
Yes, is it? That was very Python-esque there. Is it?
I'm sorry. You just said Python. Did you see that XKCD Python cartoon?
Yes, I did.
I tweeted. Okay,
I did. I saw that.
I'm sorry. That was so relatable. Sorry, there was a Python cartoon today. XKCD. We can throw it in
yes. Now we have to link it right here.
Now we have to link it here. But it so resembles my laptop that I found it to be
exactly
hilarious. Okay. Anyway,
when I run Python on my Mac, I have no idea which version it's running and where it's coming from. Was it the native? Was it the one I installed with Brew? Which one was it? Anyways, my something fun is a book I'm actually reading. I'm only halfway done, so I probably should have saved it to next week. But since we're talking about 1986 and outdated acts, the book is titled The Cuckoo's Egg by Cliff Stoll, and it's tracking a spy through the maze of computer espionage. And what it is apparently this Cliff Stoll guy took very meticulous notes, and he was at the Lawrence Berkeley lab and working in their computer. He was an astronomer, and then his research ran out of funding, and so to stay employed, he went to work in their computer lab, or in their computer support area. And one of the guys there assigned him to find where a 75-cent accounting error occurred. You know, that's back when you logged on, they started charging you time. This is 1985, I think, when the book takes place. Maybe 1985 or 1986 when the book takes place. It was written in 1989, so it's an older book as well.
Wow.
But in his effort to find the 75-cent accounting error, he found that there was some unauthorized user that was bypassing how they got into their thing, and he starts tracking it. So now he's calling phone companies to get telephone traces. He's calling the FBI, who doesn't, give him the time of day. He finds out that this hacker is, poking at, military sites back in the day when, the military sites were also just all connected to everything was just connected everywhere, with very little, you would just say, go to this site, and you would just go there. There was no login. There was no, right. Or, the login was guest type thing. Mm-hmm. Anyways, like I said, I'm only halfway done with it, but it is about 400, about 400 pages, and I'm a little over 200 pages in, and it is fascinating because of the notes he took and talking about all the things I remember, because I was, a teenager in the 80s and went to college in the early 90s. And so a lot of this stuff I can relate to and I can see. I remember the VAX machine at college. I remember the first Unix boxes that we started to play with. So anyways, it's a great book. I'll link to that.
I feel like I have heard the name before, but I've never read it. So once you're done with it, I would love to read it. You physical book buyer, you.
Yes. I went to get it, And I was like, oh, I'll just get it on Kindle and I'll read it on the plane heading down to Texas. And it was $15 on Kindle or $7 for the paperback. So fine, ship me the paperback, Amazon. So I blame the physical dead tree on Amazon for this one, and my cheapskateness to not just pay the full $15 for the Kindle version.
You paper. Tree killer you.
It says it's printed on recycled paper. So.
Oh, that's
anyways.
So well, I can't really throw stones, seeing as I walking into the house earlier this evening, I ran onto the Amazon app and said, "Yeah, buy me some of those, and they'll be here on Friday."
Anyways, so the Cuckoo's Egg.
All right, I will have to read that.
Book.
That's cool. Finish it on your flight back.
I will.
So I got to do this for my something fun. Although I gotta say that I haven't done it. I think I barely understand it, but it sure seems cool. So this is a what does Osmo stand for? This is osmocom.org. But this is basically a look at all these acronyms that are not in my normal lexicon. SDR, software
defined
radio. Okay,
yeah.
So this is basically a way to use a USB 3 to VGA adapter as a local cell hotspot. Or is that the term you'd use?
Microcell. Is it like a microcell?
Yeah. Yes.
Or a cell tower, but in
essentially,
form?
Mimic a cell tower. So this is, and they've got pinouts for what to do. They've got, obviously all the software here, and down at the bottom there's this lovely warning: do not operate a radio transmitter unless you are clear of the legal and regulatory requirements. So, in most jurisdictions, the operation of homebrew or do-it-yourself transmitters requires at the very least an amateur radio license. So, this I'm not gonna do this, but just the thought that you can hack a VGA adapter to emit the same Wi-Fi, or not, it's not Wi-Fi, but radio signals that your phone will detect and then be able to connect to is sometimes I just think people are awesome. I don't always think that, to be clear, but sometimes that's awesome. So anyway, there's I gotta link this in here, and when I'm reading through the steps, and of course the steps all seem like I can understand the command lines, but I don't know. There's a lot of decimals in there, so maybe those are frequencies. I don't know what. Anyway. Bi-quad 4.73, 4.76963. Okay.
I love the fact that you probably have, and I know I probably do, one of these dongles laying around somewhere.
Oh, I do. I've got one of those IKEA box shelf things behind me. Nobody that's listening to this can look at me like turning around and aiming at it, but yeah, I went to IKEA last year and I bought a whole bunch of those doors and drawers that go into the squares.
Yes.
So that I could have more, just
I have those.
Get it a little bit farther out of sight and let me organize it a little bit more.
That's right.
Yeah. Yes, I have a wall of cables and dongles and all sorts of computery things. Most of which I probably will never use again and should really just kind of donate. Not that anybody else would want them.
Well, apparently you could call up this osmocom.org group and offer a bunch of USB 3 to VGA dongles for really cheap.
Yeah, I found it. One of the other humorous things in here, I've just looked, things that I actually recognize is, you have to have the Realtek chipset in the ones that, oh no, sorry, it's the Fresco Logic that are supported, but not the ones with DisplayPort or DisplayLink. And,
right.
As you know, down at work, DisplayLink is actually one of the, I have got a couple of DisplayLinks because I run more monitors than I should. More monitors than I have actual monitor outputs for on my laptop. But
you can never have enough monitors, though.
I know.
Let's just clear that up right now.
I agree. Ifinity, right? All right, my friend. Call it a recording.
Call it a night.
Have a good night. Get some rest.
Yeah, you too. Thanks, John.
Safe travels back.